Hello guys and gals, my name is Soulfax and today I'm presenting you the first in a hopefully long series of videos talking about the lore and the history of the Witcher universe. The 3 video games made by CD Projekt Red, which you're probably familiar with, are actually based on the Witcher saga of novels and short stories written by the Polish author Andrzej Spakowski. To give you all some context before I start this video, my love for all things Witcher started sometime in 2012 when I first played through The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings. It was, one would say, love at first video game, and soon after that I found out that The Assassin of Kings and the game that came before it were actually based off a novel, so I immediately got my hands on that, and in one short summer I absolutely devoured the 2 collection of short stories and all the 5 novels. Since then, I've greedily consumed all available Witcher content, with The Witcher 3 being my latest fascination, and also is going to be the game from which I will be borrowing the gameplay for these series of videos. With the introductions out of the way, I don't think there is a more appropriate topic for the first installment of the series than talking about our most unlikely hero, Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf. Like many of the children who are sent to be witches, Geralt was an unwanted child, not unloved but just sadly unwanted. For reasons that are never entirely explained, his mother, the sorceress Vesina, left him in the care of the witches of Kaer Morhen, in the care of the man who Geralt later grows to love like a father, Vesemir. Meanwhile, the identity of Geralt's biological father is quite a mystery. The most serious suspect is Corin, a knight who traveled alongside Geralt's mother for a while, but these are only speculations, for if you were to ask Geralt, the only father he ever had or needed was Vesemir. Becoming a Witcher is a long and dangerous process, one so thoughtfully designed to weed out the less suitable amongst the unwilling applicants, so only the most physically and genetically lucky ones remain and become Witchers. When a child is taken in by the Witchers, he or she is trained ruthlessly, in the most unforgiving conditions, forced to run, climb, fight, all in the hopes that when the would-be Witcher undergoes the so-called trial of grasses, its body is able to withstand all the sudden changes to its genetic code. In this sense, Geralt was luckier than most. It is estimated that only 3 in 10 boys who undergo the so-called trial of grasses survive the horrible ordeal. What herbs and mutagens are mixed to produce this dark green liquid that is pumped in the bloodstream of young boys is a Witcher's secret, one that they so carefully guard. When a child undergoes the trial of grasses, the concoction that is pumped in their bloodstream changes their body from its very core, causing horrific contractions and wild hallucinations that only amplify the agony. This whole process can take up to 3 days. Every time the seizures and contractions subdue, the concoction is yet again pumped in the bloodstreams of the recipient. This whole process is repeated until the child's eyes assume the trademark serpent-like shape, which mark the point where the grasses cannot mutate the child's body anymore. The trial of grasses is a dangerous but a necessary trial, for other than the cat-like pupils that allow the Witcher to see in the blackest of nights, the grasses change the Witcher's body, mutating it and giving him speed and agility no human can hope to match, endurance and resistance to diseases that would kill the most hardiest of knights, and the mutations that occur also strip the Witcher of his emotions, creating a superhuman, heartless, cold warrior capable of rivaling even the most dangerous of monsters. Our would-be hero underwent the trial of grasses at the age of 10. Remarkably, his body accepted the concoction without much side effects, and thus the elder witches of Kaer Morhen, Vesemir included, decided to submit the boy to further mutations that no child survived before. The nature of these additional mutations is sadly never revealed, but the side effects are more than well known. Was it the combination of immense strain on his body, or just some genetic mishap, Geralt's body lost all of its pigmentation. His skin turned pale as a corpse, and his hair was now a stark white, leading to his well-known unofficial title, the White Wolf. If a child does survive the trial of grasses, he or she is ready to continue his training, and if fate is kind to him, become a Witcher one day. Alongside learning swordsmanship, training their agility and endurance, the apprentice Witchers are also drilled with the knowledge on all of the known species of monsters, where they live, how they behave, their strengths and weaknesses, and most importantly, how to kill them. With their enhanced sense of sight, hearing and smell, which is another side effect of the trial of grasses, the Witchers also teach their pupils the art of tracking their prey, but the training is not always purely hostile. Most of the would-be witchers are either orphans or tragically unwanted offsprings of incompatible parents. They have no sense of identity or belonging other than the cold walls of Kaer Morhen, so Vesemir, being the eldest of the witchers, urges them to pick out surnames to give their appearance some credibility. Little Geralt wanted to go by the name of Geralt Roger Erik Duhaute Belgrade, and unsurprisingly, Vesemir dismissed the notion for it sounded silly and self-important. Having his first choice denied, Geralt settled for the surname of Rivia, a city that's part of the Kingdom of Lyria and sits at the west of its country, near the dwarf-held Mahakam Mountains. To further sell the idea that he is indeed from Rivia, Geralt learned to imitate the distinct Rivian accent perfectly, and due to his biological nationality being somewhat of a mystery, one could say that Geralt is indeed from Rivia.
You're right, I don't believe it.
When the Elder Witchers conclude an apprentice has learned all he can and is ready to set out on the quote-unquote path, they give him a silver sword, a mount, and his Witcher medallion, as a sign that he indeed is a fully fledged Witcher. From then on, the Witcher must travel the path, going from village to village, from town to town, looking for work, always staying penniless and always being frowned upon, until some drowner starts snatching children off the shore, or knickers turn up in the mines. Then the Witcher is not an abomination, but a necessary evil. And thus the protagonist of this story set out on the path. He spent many years wandering from settlement to settlement, fulfilling contracts both simple and complicated, but sadly not much is known about Geralt's early years. All of the novels and one of the collection of short stories all focus on the period in Geralt's life when he was already the walking legend we know him as, and the only glimpse in Geralt's early witchering career is through small, out-of-context flashbacks that occur every so often in the novels. To end this video on a high note, I want to read to you a paragraph in which Geralt has strayed from his usual brooding self and actually talks about some of his past. In this paragraph, he's talking to a priestess named Lola during his stay in the temple of Melitele, and he's talking about how his first monster encounter went down. As I left Kaer Morhen, I dreamt of meeting my first monster. I couldn't wait to stand eye to eye to him, and the moment arrived. My first monster, Lola, was bald and had exceptionally rotten teeth. I came across him on the highway where, with some fellow monsters, deserters, he stopped a peasant's cart and pulled out a little girl, maybe 13 years old. His companion held her father while the bald man tore off her dress, yelling it was time for her to meet a real man. I rode up and said the time had come for him too. I thought I was very witty. The bald monster released the girl and threw himself at me with an axe. He was slow but tough. I hit him twice, not clean cuts but spectacular, and only then did he fall. His gang ran away when they saw what a witcher's swords can do to a man. Am I boring you, Lola? I need this. I really do need this. Where was I? Oh, my first noble deed. You see, they told me again and again in Kaer Morhen not to get involved in such incidents. Not to play at being a knight-errant or uphold the law. Not to show off, but to work for money. And I joined this fight like an idiot, not 50 miles from the mountains. And you know why? I wanted the girl, sobbing with gratitude, to kiss her savior on the hand and her father to thank me on his knees. In reality, her father fled with his attackers, and the girl, drenched in the bald man's blood, threw up, became hysterical and fainted in fear when I approached her. Since then, I've only very rarely interfered in such matters. So with that very poor excuse for voice acting out of the way, we're going to be wrapping up this first episode of The Witcher 3 lore, The Witchering. I don't even know how to call this series. I need to make up a name for it. But anyhow, if you have any criticism or feedback that you want to tell me or level at me, please use liberally the comment section down below. My name has been Soulfax, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time, probably next Friday. Till then, goodbye and have fun. That's a weird outro. Goodbye.